What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname back at it again with another Giants video. Now, from my update vid that I put up on Wednesday, I said I don't know if I'm still gonna do anything for my channel because I'll be doing a few collabs, this week. Once again, still not mentioning any names, because scheduling and all that, it's very difficult to work out stuff, technical issues, all that. I actually finished one of them yesterday. It was a really great experience. Shout out to that creator. You guys will see it when you see it, but it was really nice. I would love to do it again. But like I said, I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious with all these things. Until they're all finished and you guys see who they are, I won't really speak names and all that. But because of that, it took up all my free time. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get my own type of bi-week video out. And just this morning, I get up, I have a extra kind of couple hours in the morning because one of my classes was delayed. I was like, okay, then I look at the time. I got exactly like 40 minutes to an hour, because I still got up later. I got like exactly 40 minutes to an hour to try and record a video, get the editing done and all that, and get it out to you guys. Schedule it for later in the day and see what happens there. So I'm like, what, my viewers deserve it. Let's get right to it, man. So that's what we're doing. Let's get to it. The Giants bye week 11, I believe it is, and we have a late bye week this week. Giants are currently 2-8. They lost, 6 games in a row. Not looking very good. I mean, mathematically, I'm not sure if they're eliminated from the playoffs yet, but I'd be surprised if they weren't. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, they completely are, because they can't even get the wild card spot. NFC is really, I'd say, wild to say the least, at the very much, with teams such as the Seahawks and the 49ers. Well, the 49ers might probably get the bye, but teams like the Seahawks and the Rams battling for that wild card spot. In the South, you got the Panthers, surprisingly, also trying to get something there. The North, Green Bay, and the Vikings are also battling out over there. So it's like you got a couple teams in the East right now that are in the Cowboys and the Eagles that are noticeably worse in terms of record than all those other guys, and those are the two teams leading our division. So I don't really see that being a wild card spot, and the Giants, for all intents and purposes, are just not going to the playoffs. Let's all be honest with ourselves real quick. This entire video, I'm going to be very blunt and maybe a little harsh on the Giants and whatnot, because I'm going to talk about what I think we should do for the rest of the season, and the situations with Pat Shumur, James Beathard, and Dave Gettleman, what I think should happen with these guys. So let's start off with, how should we approach the rest of the season? You guys already know from previous videos that and even myself, I don't like particularly to take the stance, because I believe in the respect of the game of football. But at this point, we have to do what's best for the franchise, and that requires a hard decision. I think the Giants should start tanking. And what I mean by that, for people that don't know, maybe they don't watch football that much, or any other sport really, and they've never heard the term before, tanking is when a team loses on purpose in order to get a better draft pick. And yes, I know that sounds very stupid, alright? Because I'm a Giants fan. No matter what anybody will say to respond to this, I am a Giants fan. And it's very weird to go out there and root for your team to lose. And that's not what I'm going to do. Every time I go out on Sundays, I look at the TV, or I'm actually going to be going to a game this year. As you guys know, it's always tradition for me to attend at least one Giants game this year. Ticket prices were not fun this year, guys, so I ended up choosing a really bad game. Anyway, but anytime I'm going to be looking at a Giants game, I'm always going to be cheering for them to win. However, now I'm going to know in the back of my mind it's going to be the best for them to lose, because it's going to allow them to get that better draft position, which they could use to get any player that they want. Or, in my opinion, they should use it to get the best player for their needs. Or they could even trade down and get a couple more picks, get a couple first rounders. I think the Dolphins have a couple first rounders if they would want to trade up and have the first 2 picks in the draft or something. and you know, get a couple firsts, maybe some seconds and thirds, and fill it out throughout the entire 7 rounds of the draft, because the NFL draft is 7 rounds. This, you know, tanking for a draft pick won't just help us in the first round, it will help us for all of those rounds. You know, draft picks are, I think, in my opinion, undervalued. They really should be, you know, talked about a bit more, because these guys, this is how you get your players, you know what I'm saying? This is how you get players that make an immediate impact or in the future can develop into something. What the Giants are kind of hoping for in this rebuild is a mixture of both. Guys that could come in right away, help us out, and then also guys that could be down the road for us, you know, cornerstones of the franchise. So yeah, I do think that, you know, tanking is the way to go, and I really don't like to use the term because it has such a negative connotation to it. And, you know, people have used it before, other Giants creators and YouTubers, guys like Fisk Vegas, who I respect a lot, and they've been called, you know, fake fans and whatnot, when that's not the case. He's literally, and, you know, anybody else that says that, they're literally looking at it from a drastic standpoint, but they're doing so because look at the condition of the Giants, and they are doing so with the best intent possible, because tanking, you know, it helps us to improve this team, when we haven't done that ever in the past like 7-8 years, excluding 2016, that fluke season where we were good, we won 11 games. The Giants have always been, you know, mediocre to bad, like mediocre to really bad, and we've never completely lost out except for 2017 to help ourselves get better. You know what I mean? We've always somehow, some way won a couple more games, and then we get a first round pick, you know, from like 5 to 11, and that first pick turns out to be nothing that we ever really use because it's not a good player. I mean, guys, be honest with yourselves. There are no first round picks from 2011 to 2016, I want to say, that are on the Giants right now, and that's a bad thing. That's because we haven't drafted well. And, you know, while part of that has to do with the GM, another part of it has to do with our position, because the Giants, a lot of people don't notice, have been like, not cheated, but they've never gotten who they wanted in the draft a lot of times. The Rams, they once came up and took Todd Gurley away from us. There was interest in Todd Gurley. I think it was the Jaguars once came up and took away Dante Fowler from us. The Saints, at one point we were looking at Ryan Ramczyk, I think a couple years ago. Also Patrick Mahomes, all that. Like, in general, the Giants this decade have never gotten who they wanted in the first round, except for Saquon and Daniel Jones, and that's because we had the pick. We were in the position to do so. So I do think, you know, this is for the best interest in the team to go out there and to tank, okay? And that's not necessarily to say we should go out there and completely stink up the joint and beat the Dolphins, no. Because the second part that I want to see the rest of the season is improvement. And now you might be saying, yo, that literally makes no sense. How can you be asking for them to show some improvement, but at the same time for them to lose? Well, guess what? Then you could do some improvement in coaching. That doesn't necessarily lead to wins. What I want to see from Pat Shurmur, for example, is better diversity of his play calls. You know, I want him to open up that toolkit that I know he has, because he's shown flashes of it here in New York, but he's shown it almost all the time back in Minnesota. I want him to open up that cookbook, cook something up that's nice and sweet, cook something up that's different. Cook something up different in the run game, for God's sake. Stop running the same play for Saquon all the time, over and over again. And in fact, don't even use Saquon that much, because I don't want him to get injured. We use Wayne Gallman a little bit. Use the other backup running backs and other guys to run the ball, because you've been seriously underutilizing them anyway. You know, you've been underutilizing the starter, and you sure as hell been underutilizing the guys behind him. In addition to that, speaking of players that want to see more on the field, on the defensive side, James Bettcher, the season is a loss. Why are you still playing Antoine Bethea? Throw our boy Julian Love out there. Like, why aren't we seeing him up until this point? I've always played devil's advocate when this question has come up in conversations with friends, or when I'm on, you know, call-in shows with other YouTubers and stuff like that. I've always said, hey, there's a reason Julian Love isn't on the field. Maybe he's that bad, but in the back of my mind, I know to myself, there's no way he can be worse than Antoine Bethea. So, James Bettcher, throw a bit more of the rookies out there. I want to see a bit more of O'Shane. I want to see a lot more of Julian Love. I've been glad to see some of Corey Ballantyne, even though it hasn't been that much. I would like to see more Sam Beal, all of that, you know, especially now that Janoris Jenkins is in concussion protocol. I'm not sure how that's going to go. And Betcher in general, let's see your personnel. You need to try and figure out that personnel, because as of right now, the reason your scheme isn't working is because you're not sure who you got to work that scheme with. You know what I'm saying? In Arizona, you had sure things, you had Pro Bowlers, all that. Over here, you got most of the dudes on their rookie contracts and you're not sure what they can do. Well, this is your chance. Use these 6 games to try and figure that out. Alright? So, improvement in the coaching. Because whether we like it or not, we're going to be stuck for the most part with these coaches next year. Which brings me to my final point of what do I think we should do with the coaching staff, more so Pat Shurmur, James Betcher, and even with Dave Gettleman, the general manager. Now, it's been no secret that I've wanted Pat Shurmur fired since about week 2 or something like that. Okay? It's been no secret at all that I do not believe Pat Shurmur is the guy that can take us to the promised land at all. I just don't think he has it. I think he's a terrible head coach, good offensive coordinator. It happens in the NFL. Believe it or not, most coordinators that are really good turn out to be absolutely horrendous head coaches. Pat Shurmur, in my opinion, is one of those guys. However, there is a big but here. He does deserve one more year with the Giants, because when we brought him in, when we brought this entire coaching staff and we brought Dave Gettleman in, this goes for all of them. We brought them in to rebuild a franchise that was 3-13 and one that has been failed by its previous regimes year after year after year. And they had 2 things to do, really. They had to clean up the mess left by the previous people and then build the new foundation and build a new team out of it. Guess what? Last year they cleaned up the mess. This year there was still a little bit of cleanup, and they're starting to truly rebuild now. No rebuild has ever been done in 2 years. The fastest rebuild ever. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's a record for that, but just to recent memory, you can look to the Seahawks. From 2015 to 2019 now. That took them around 4 years. And they already had an amazing foundation because they had their great quarterback in Russell Wilson and a couple weapons, and they still had some defensive players after Legion of Boom. And that still took them around 4 years to get back to a nice, highly competitive level. You know what I'm saying? Rebuilds in general, they don't take 2 years to complete, and that's what these guys have had. They've had 2 years. They need more time than that. Out of respect and out of the fact that it would be, quite frankly, it would be stupid to fire them now. Even though I want them, I want Shumur fired. It would be stupid to do it now because they haven't had enough time to do what they were brought in to do. Okay, you need 3-4 years before we can really start judging what these guys are going to do. And for the first time this offseason, they're going to have a full free agency period where they can make some moves because of the cap space. You know what I'm saying? They haven't had that in 2018. They haven't had that in 2019. They're going to have it in 2020. And another reason, I just throwing this out there, QB development, Daniel Jones, it would be better for him to stick with Pat Shurmur for now. You don't want to get him confused. You don't want to get him like Alex Smith, who's had 5-6 different offensive coordinators in his first 4 years or something like that, and he never developed well because he had to relearn systems over and over and over again. Guy essentially had on the mental side of it four rookie years. But I'm just throwing that out there. The more main reason for me is it's a rebuilding team, it's a rebuilding regime, and we haven't even given them time to truly rebuild yet. They've still been cleaning up mess, and this year is really when they started the rebuild, continuing into next offseason, and we'll see how they perform next year. I will say this though, they need to be above 500 next year for them to even think about keeping their jobs. Alright, because we have seen enough from them to warrant some firings. But you need to give them time. And I'll say that right now, and I'll hold that stance, but I still don't believe in them, man. Straight up, I still don't believe in them. I believe in Dave Gettleman, great drafter, hit or miss in free agency. He's a good GM. But yeah, that's what I got for y'all today. Let me know what you all think. Put your comments down below. Do you guys agree with the tanking? I assume most of you won't. Or do you agree with my view on the coaching staff and how they need one more year? Probably, again, most of you won't. But, like I said, put the comments down below because I do love discussing this with you guys. I'm out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Put your comments down below. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Until next time, I'm out.